Profit killer number 2 is materials. Now, materials of late are blowing budgets to smithereens. Like this was once a fairly predictable line item. In other words, it was fairly stable from year to year, month to month. Now it is literally anything but. This has become a hugely difficult part of a P&L to manage. This is multifaceted. Part of it is inflationary. A lot of this like reckless spending over the last few years is catching up with us. So you're seeing prices increase on a whole array of different products. The other part of it is a supply chain thing. So things are shipping at unbelievably slow rates. Lead times are ridiculously slow. It takes forever to get anything these days. I think for a lot of contractors are feeling this very real thing, which is like getting basic materials to complete the job is more frustrating and more expensive than it's ever been. I'm not pointing fingers either, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility that, I don't think it's impossible that some suppliers and distributors are also taking advantage of this to some extent. It's a dire situation. The demand pressure is just too big to ignore. The prices could be getting jacked up further. I'm not saying that's impossible. This seems, funny enough, to be especially the case for subtrades. Like electricians and plumbers are getting raked over the coals on this the worst. I think because a lot of the stuff they need is very specialized, it's very niched. Now, I'll just use an example. In our one MBP file that we have, electrical client, their materials line item as a percentage of overall revenue has gone up 9% compared to last year. 9% in one.
As a percentage of overall revenue.
Overall revenue.
You're not gone up 9%.
No, that's wait. Yeah, no, it's like if you're doing that math, it could be double. But I'm saying as a percentage of overall revenue, it's gone from something in the low 30s to nearly 40%. Yikes. And while subtrades are feeling this the worst, like as an individual, as a niche within the market, the entire construction and trades economy, the entire global economy, is feeling this as a whole. So materials are a huge area that people are feeling this on. Our practical steps to fixing this. Okay, number 1 would be like shop your business around a little bit. Like, it's probably time to revisit your pricing. It's probably time to have your suppliers sharpen their pencil a little bit. Pick up the phone, send out some emails, start to look at other options. You may find that the supplier, the distributor that you're working with primarily is still the best one. You may find that something else is better, but it would now be a very, very good time to start to do some investigating on if and when and where you can get a better price on materials. Another thing that's been a little bit, this is a bigger project, but inventory management systems. So something like Tracknicity, there's lots of others too, a piece of software that helps you manage your inventory. You might actually have a ton of materials that you can use that are lying around the shop, they're lying around your backyard. You just literally don't know where they are and you've forgotten about them. So there's underutilized things that you may actually have. And if you had installed a good piece of software, a good piece of inventory tracking technology, you may be able to utilize some of that stuff. Some of our members that have a good system in place for that are feeling this to a much lesser degree. Here's, I think, the most important point for managing the materials expense. The terms and conditions within your contracts need to be edited and changed. There's clauses, there's terminology that need to be updated specifically around how long the quote or the estimate or the bid is good for. In this market right now, we're recording this in end of May 2022. Prices are good for like 7 to 14 days right now, no longer. So if you've put out if you're getting a call back on a bid you did 2 months ago, and the general goes, we want to go forward with this, or the homeowner goes, we want to go forward with this, and you're just like too busy to double check and go, yeah, let's do it. You are likely taking an absolute bath on that project and you don't even realize it. So you need to go back to your job cost cards. Do not be lazy about this. You need to get better at passing rising costs along to the customer and watch this like a hawk. So that's, I think, the most important thing, and probably the lowest hanging fruit would be go back to your contract and update some of those things so that you're not left holding the bag on a project that wants to go forward. But, the pricing that you built that estimate off of is like long gone. So that would be our practical.
That one's tough, right? Benji, you and I have both been in these situations, right? Where like it's fun and easy and exciting to just accept new sales.
Yeah, totally.
Right? It's exciting.
Yeah, you want to go for it? Hell yeah, let's do it.
Let's go. $14,000. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Right. Yeah. But this current environment is one where you cannot afford to be lazy in this arena during these times, right? So in summary, like the way that I think of this point here, Benji, is like in this current situation, there's two kinds of companies. There are the ones that are going to be able to pass on these rising costs to their customers effectively, and thus, by the way, driving revenue up, which is great. And then there's those that are going to get really margin squeezed.
Squeezed. That's a good way to think about it.
There's two companies in there, and you want to be in the camp of the former, right? And there's a couple of things that you got to that need to be in place really for that to be able to happen. Like one, you need to be administratively strong and very diligent on some of this.
Up to date with not 6 months behind on your numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And your agreements, your estimates need to reflect that. And two, this is not a quick fix, but your brand's got to be strong enough to be able to withstand price increases in a market where everything is increasing in price. But you want to be in the camp of the companies that are passing these rising costs through to their customers, not in the latter, which are the companies that cannot do that, whether it's because of brand or they're just not administratively on top of things, and they're going to get extraordinarily margin squeezed.
I hear a lot of, like when I bring up this point at a conference or I'm speaking with slides or I'm doing a webinar, like I often hear pushback question goes, well, I can't sell that to the customer. If that's you right now, I would really challenge that is a total belief system in your mind.
You made that up.
You have made that
How
up.
much is that customer paying for a gallon or a liter of gasoline? How much are they paying for an avocado?
They're paying more for the house. They're paying more for everything. Yeah. It would actually be weird for you, the electrical contractor, to just like honor your old pricing. So I would really, really challenge those of you that have that belief system floating around your mind. Your customer is more than likely expecting it at this point. So get, like Igor said, be in the camp that's able to pass these price increases along to the customer with some efficiency. Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
Benji, one more thing. Do not get emotional about it. People get wrapped up in that.
Like they get upset?
Yeah, it's just very simple. This is a reality. Inflation's a thing. It has always been a thing, by the way. Prices rise over time. Even if we were talking a year ago.
Back in my day, these things cost this much.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the reality is everything's more expensive every year. And if even outside of this current circumstance, if you're not raising prices, standardized pricing every year, you're missing the boat. So let's move on to number 3.
Okay, number 3. This is a fun one. All right. Number 3, everyone, is... Listen, if you like that clip, you can watch the full episode by clicking here. If you're not yet subscribed, you probably should be, and you can do that by clicking right here.